Let's talk about the episode Exchange Student Driver, a new one from season 16. When Mrs. Puff enrolls SpongeBob in a faraway driving school exchange program just to get rid of him, can't really blame her, our absorbent hero finds himself in a familiar location, Klopnod, a bizarre town where reckless driving is the norm, so SpongeBob fits right in. The premise flips the usual boating school formula, where SpongeBob's chaotic driving style, which is normally a nightmare in Bikini Bottom, like this guy has nearly killed people before, turns out to be perfect in Klopnod. In fact, he performs so well and is such a standout student that the Klopnodian instructor awards SpongeBob with a driver's license, carved on a turnip, no less. And this is where our first Easter egg, well, I guess this is more of a fact, comes in. And don't worry, just saying, there are a ton of Easter eggs coming up, so stay tuned. This one's just really interesting, and it's actually kind of controversial. As if you go to the comments of the fandom page of this episode, you'll see that there's a lot of people upset at the fact that SpongeBob received his license, and I'll explain why. Creator Steven Hillenburg, the person who created Bikini Bottom, made SpongeBob like the OG of SpongeBob, famously said that SpongeBob should never permanently earn his license. Why? Well, to preserve the comedic tension with Mrs. Puff, which is a big part of many episodes, including this episode, Exchange Student Driver, but also to fulfill Nickelodeon's mandate that the show should revolve around a school setting and a teacher character. For those of you who don't know this, Mrs. Puff was a character that Nickelodeon pretty much demanded. They basically told Steven Hillenburg that if you're going to make a show like this, there needs to be some educational aspect to it, which is why SpongeBob goes to boating school and learns, though if you really think about it, the dude never really progresses. Well, at least he does in this episode, but that's the issue here. However, there's actually a workaround for this. By giving SpongeBob a license only in Klopnod, the episode cleverly skirts Hillenburg's rule without technically breaking it, since SpongeBob still isn't licensed in Bikini Bottom. He got his license in Klopnod, a completely different location. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments, but do you think that because it happened in a different location that it makes it okay? But yeah, a fun fact about this episode I wanted to talk about, but let's get into an actual Easter egg here. As throughout this episode, as it progresses and we see SpongeBob at Mrs. Puff's boating school, longtime viewers may catch a classroom callback in this episode. This thing right here is the good noodle board. Mrs. Puff's star chart, or basically like a chart for how she tracks the behavior of her students. It made its first appearance years ago, like 25 years ago, back in the classic episode, one of my favorites, New Student Starfish, where SpongeBob shows Patrick the board and explains its function before class.
Those drinks are recorded here on the good noodle board.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Whoa!
SpongeBob in this episode eventually actually gets in trouble thanks to Patrick and loses one of his stars.
Turning, it is important to signal at least 40 feet from the
Big
turn.
fat meanie, you can't do that. She's the teacher.
What about the teacher? What? As if I really look like this.
Well, it's really cool to see it pop up again in this episode, and it shows that whoever wrote this episode knows their stuff. They're a real SpongeBob fan. As there's been other episodes that have shown Mrs. Puff's classroom, like the classroom at the boating school, and the good noodle board is not there. So this was intentional. Also, just saying, I don't normally do this, but if this Easter egg sounds familiar, it's because there's a very similar one in another episode that I covered recently, where the good noodle board popped up again. So yeah, just saying, this was a new Easter egg. Moving on though, I've got some more Easter eggs for you guys in the form of character cameos. And of course, all the cameos here are characters that are pretty rare. We're gonna be covering more cameos in other episodes in this video, so stay tuned. But let's get into it. As I mentioned, Mrs. Puff sends SpongeBob on like a boat driving exchange student thing, where he's being sent to Klopnod. And we get this scene where we see the travel there with a map. And there are a bunch of deep cut references on here. And I'm very proud, as they're ones that the SpongeBob fandom wiki hasn't even found yet. For one, just as the boat is approaching no man's land, we'll see right here that these are the trench monsters from the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Now you might not see it right away because there's just eyes, but this is specifically a reference to when SpongeBob and Patrick are walking through right here, and as you can see, there's all of these different eyes. Also, they're very clearly like on the map in trenches, so yeah, this is a subtle reference right here, but it's definitely a reference. However, the next two are way more blatant. For example, just passing No Man's Land, we can see the Cyclops character from the same 2004 SpongeBob movie. This character right here, we can see that his leg or his boot is put down on the No Man's Land area of the map. Pretty cool. And if you were questioning the last two, here's one that absolutely confirms it. In that 2004 SpongeBob movie, we were introduced to Maximus, this character right here. And what I really want you to pay attention to is the small traffic light at the top of his head acting like a lantern of a glowfish. As if we go back to that same map part, look, Maximus is right here. The colors are slightly off as you can see in this side by side, but the reason we know for sure is that traffic light on top of his head right here, which basically reaffirms the other two Easter eggs I was mentioning of the trench monsters and of the Cyclops, who also all appeared in that original 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I imagine that whoever, like the production team around this episode, exchange student driver, one of them probably worked on the movie or something in the past, but who knows. One other thing I want to talk about real quickly, and then we'll head into more Easter eggs in another episode, guys. Stay tuned because I've got some of the coolest Easter eggs coming up. But here's some behind the scenes stuff about this episode. As remember how I said SpongeBob got his license on a turnip? We actually got to see the process of how this came to life, with Shane Richardson, Hannah Hong, George N, and Amy L sharing these drawings online, where we can see the first process of the photo, the second process of the photo, then we can see the shot in the episode where it's blank, and then finally this shot where we can actually see the driver's license text. And fun fact, these were originally painted before being scanned in with the lines drawn digitally. So some really cool stuff right there, but let's head over to another episode. In the episode, Accidents Will Happen, Squidward feigns a workplace injury at the Krusty Krab, forcing Mr. Krabs to pamper him and triggering an over-the-top investigation. The storyline is packed with sly nods to past SpongeBob moments, so let's get into those. For starters, Mr. Krabs' solution to uncovering the quote-unquote truth behind Squidward's accident is to review the surveillance footage, using cameras that he claims to have borrowed from the airport.
What? I forgot! I borrowed that from the airport.
Now I'm gonna get to the Easter egg, but just saying, stealing from the airport is like insane. Mr. Krabs is like wild for that. I'm surprised he isn't in jail. But anyways, this throwaway line is a direct reference to the classic episode Life of Crime. In that episode, SpongeBob and Patrick learned from a hypocritical Mr. Krabs that borrowing without permission is another word for petty theft.
What about all the stuff you stole?
What do you mean?
Like that barrel.
Oh, that's where I rent me pickles from.
Are you renting the barrel too?
No,
Then you bought it.
no.
Then isn't that stealing?
All that stuff is, borrowed.
Here, Mr. Krabs hasn't changed a bit. He still acquires things like security cameras through borrowing, echoing that earlier gag, and potentially making for a reference. I mean, at the very least, it's a clever bit of character consistency, but this also could have totally just been a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like one of the writers it just could have been an accident, who knows? This next Easter egg, though, was definitely intentional. It comes when Squidward demands that Mr. Krabs pops the barnacles on his back as part of his treatment. The sight is so gross that customers in the Krusty Krab recoil and abandon the restaurant. And as they flee, you can hear one customer disgustingly ask, "Is that the secret ingredient?" While another one mutters, "Hold the special sauce, man." This dark little joke plays on the show's long-running gag about the mysterious Krabby Patty secret formula, and it's very meta that they're acknowledging it more. I know Plankton wanting to steal it is a big plot point. You don't hear other characters reference the secret formula very often, or question what's in it, but let's keep it going. Patrick Star contributes his own goofy reference during the investigation scene. When SpongeBob brings in Patrick for expert help, Patrick babbles nonsensically, saying the following.
I needed help investigating the accident. Right, buddy?
Breakfast, green Finland.
Did that sound familiar? As him saying Finland is actually like a direct reference to one of my favorite episodes. Who remembers the character Doodlebob from the episode Franken Doodle? Such an iconic episode. Well, in that season 2 episode, Patrick was struck by a bowling ball dropped on his head by Doodlebob and said something very similar.
You okay, Patrick?
Well, Accidents Will Happen recreates the joke, with Patrick once again uttering, I guess, his famous catchphrase. I mean, what's more famous for Patrick, him saying, Finland, or him asking if mayonnaise is an instrument? Let me know in the comments. But we're almost done with this episode. I've got a little bit more though, and here's some behind the scenes details about this episode. I know I'm going on about Easter eggs all the time, but as you guys have probably noticed, these videos are about facts, Easter eggs, and trivia, with Easter eggs being the priority. But anyways, towards the end, when Mr. Krabs exposes Squidward's fraud and his lie, we get one more behind the scene Easter egg, as I mentioned. As Squidward lounges, Mr. Krabs storms off to fluff Squidward's pillow in anger. Squidward deadpans under his breath, "Oh, just fluff it," in a perfectly bitter tone. I mean, listen for yourself.
Okay, if that's all, I'll just get back to me.
Fluff it.
What did you say?
I said, fluff it.
I'll fluff him.
Well, this line wasn't in the script at all. Voice actor Roger Dumpass ad-libbed fluff it during recording, going off script and adding to the episode. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I like covering everything and it's an interesting behind the scenes detail. But let's head over to another episode. So as you guys have probably heard, the consensus for SpongeBob's spin-off show, Camp Koral, is pretty negative. I mean, if you just search it on YouTube, there are tons of videos of people criticizing it, and I get it. The show definitely was a little bit of a cash grab, but if you ever hear somebody say that Nickelodeon went against Steven Hillenburg's wishes with Camp Koral, or that he didn't want the show to happen, it's come out that that is not true. And let's talk about that for a second, and then we're gonna get into more Easter eggs in a Camp Koral episode. But this in and of itself is a fact and is some trivia. In a 2001 interview with multiple SpongeBob production members, it was revealed that Steven absolutely knew about the show. He was weary about the CGI aspect of the show, but he was working on it and knew it was happening. Furthermore, Vincent Waller, another big member of SpongeBob's production, also went on to say that Steve absolutely knew about the show. The only thing we don't know is how he would have felt about the final product, as unfortunately he passed away before he could see that. But Vincent explains that Steve specifically left him and the rest of the team in charge and trusted them to guard his creation to the best of their ability. And it seems like they're doing that. So there's a little bit of trivia about Camp Koral for you right there. Nickelodeon didn't just force this show to happen like a lot of people think, but let's get back to the original Easter egg I was going to talk about. And it's from the Camp Koral episode Game Night, which is actually a really good episode and a good example of how good this show actually can be. This episode shifts the spotlight from SpongeBob to SpongeBob's summer camp counselors, youthful versions of Mr. Krabs, Mrs. Puff, and Plankton, as they sneak away from the campers for a grown-ups evening of board games. Well, this episode is a treasure trove of playful references, especially when it comes to the board games that they choose to play, with each one spoofing a real-world classic in a character-appropriate way. It's actually some really good writing here. Plankton excitedly suggests a game called Peril, the game of undersea conquest, clearly a parody of the global domination board game Risk, a perfect fit for Plankton's world domination obsession, and a cool reference to a real-life board game. Another reference can be found when Mr. Krabs counters with Money-opoly, a not-so-subtle nod to Monopoly, with the mascot looking exactly like Monopoly's Mr. Moneybags. He also looks like somebody else, you guys may have noticed, but he looks familiar to a certain Spongy dad. I mean, if we do a side-by-side, like, the mascot looks almost identical to SpongeBob's dad. A potentially intentional Easter egg that suggests that Harold Squarepants has another job in this universe. But moving on, Mrs. Puff shoots them both down, grumbling that Mr. Krabs always plays the bank and always wins, a wink to anyone who's caught a cheater swiping extra cash when acting as the banker in real-life Monopoly. Funnily enough, in the dialogue, it's recalled that the last time they played Slot Boat Racers, Mr. Krabs accidentally ran over Plankton's leg. This setup delivers a double Easter egg. As Plankton gripes about his still healing leg, we suddenly get a close-up and hear the famous line, "My leg," coming probably from the character Fred.
My leg is still healing.
His leg!
But beyond the games themselves, the episode Game Night hides a sweet callback to SpongeBob's childhood comforts. When SpongeBob barges in on the secret gathering with an emergency, we learn that he's upset because his teddy bear is missing, only for it to turn up under his bunk bed covers later on. What a waste of time. But the teddy bear's design, a cute brown stuffed bear, will probably ring a bell for fans of the episode Skill Crane. In that episode, SpongeBob wins a very similar looking teddy from a carnival crane machine. The Camp Coral teddy isn't explicitly named, but its appearance feels like a tip of the hat to Skill Crane, showing that SpongeBob's affection for cuddly bears spans across his life. That, or it was just written that he would have a teddy bear, and because it's a generic teddy bear, it just turns out to be an Easter egg. But good job, because they accidentally made an Easter egg here, and it's actually a pretty cool one. Now, I'm almost done with this episode, but one more cheeky detail in Game Night is that there's a lot of jokes that are aimed primarily at grown-ups in the audience as opposed to kids. For example, as the counselors set up their game, Mrs. Puff pours drinks into plastic solo cups. And there's another scene where Mr. Krabs conveniently sips on his cup, remarking that these child-free evenings are the only thing keeping me sane.
You know, sometimes I think these adult-only nights are the only thing keeping me sanity in check.
Though never clearly stated, the scene strongly implies that the adults are enjoying some camp punch. I don't know for sure, but I do think that this was meant to be one of those types of jokes right here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments though. And guys, I'm gonna head over to another episode, but real quick, I just wanna say I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob channels on YouTube right now. Like when it comes to sleep content, like my content's all original, guys. This video took me so much time going through the wiki and going through every episode and voicing it all with my real voice, blah, 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 blah. This is my real voice. So if you're enjoying, please subscribe, guys. This channel's growing very slowly, but we're trying to hit 10K and I'd really appreciate it. So please subscribe. But let's head over to another episode. Let's do it. Our next episode is called The Other Patty. When a shady new restaurant called the Flabby Patty threatens the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob becomes determined to get Mr. Krabs and Plankton to set aside their rivalry and work together.
If you work together, the Flabby Patty recipe would be yours.
Okay, fine. We'll work together.
Yeah, I don't see that working out.
In this episode, SpongeBob pointedly reminds the two feuding restaurateurs of something fans learned in the special episode years in the past, Friend or Foe, with him saying the following line.
There was a time when Plankton and I were best friends. Friends at birth, you might say. Even as wee ones.
Goo.
SpongeBob references that Mr. Krabs and Plankton at one point in time were best friends, holding up an old photograph of Krabs and Plankton during happier times. Well, this is a direct callback to the episode Friend or Foe, which revealed that the two enemies were childhood best friends before becoming like mortal enemies, all over like a smash burger secret formula. Imagine switching up on your homie just over a Krabby Patty secret formula. I don't know, it's crazy, but roll the clip.
Why are you two always fighting? You were best palsy-wellsies once. Can't you two make up and be friends?
Yee! Those days are over, SpongeBob. Oof.
Krabs and I are bitter enemies.
And that's the way we like it.
By invoking their past friendship, SpongeBob is essentially referencing the events of Friend or Foe within the story, hoping that nostalgia will fix their friendship. It's a neat bit of continuity that rewards viewers who remember the 2007 special. And in the end, as you can imagine, they figure everything out, so it's a good episode. But let's head over to another one with more Easter eggs. Well, we're actually gonna switch up the flow a little bit, guys, and we're gonna talk about a video game. We're gonna be talking about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and a bunch of references in this game that reference the actual show. For example, one of the most fascinating Easter eggs you can find in this game comes in the Krusty Krab kitchen. Fans notice that the kitchen's layout in this game is mirrored incorrectly. As you can see, the frying stove is positioned on the opposite side from where it normally is in the actual cartoon. It's really weird. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a simple developer error, but it turns out to be a case of life or game imitating art. The developers likely modeled the kitchen using these reference shots from the show and unknowingly copied an animation mistake that the show itself made in a few episodes. In early episodes like Nature Pants, Your Shoes Untied, and My Pretty Seahorse, all banger episodes by the way, they're such good episodes, the Krusty Krab grill was inconsistently drawn on the left side of the kitchen instead of the right. In any other episode of SpongeBob, SpongeBob, the kitchen's drawn correctly and looks like this, with it normally being on the right, the stove. So yeah, a fun fact for you right there, that the kitchen in Battle for Bikini Bottom is incorrect, and it's incorrect because it's based on incorrect shots from the show. Crazy. Now I know it's annoying, guys, but I'm gonna do it one more time. Please subscribe, guys. I'm trying to like go all out with the SpongeBob content, and again, I'm using no AI, so yeah, I'm gonna shut up, but please subscribe. I love you guys. Set in the Camp Koral spin-off series, Squizzery is a campfire side adventure that teams up a young Squidward and Patrick. The title itself hints at a parody. It's a riff on the Stephen King story, Misery. Fittingly, Squidward breaks his ankles and is stuck being cared for by Patrick, which is very similar to the Stephen King story itself. But don't worry, we're not going to be talking about that boring stuff. The episode strands Squidward and Patrick in the woods, forcing the unlikely pair to survive together overnight.
Your legs look funny. Are you okay?
Of course I'm not okay. Look at me. My ankles are more twisted than a pretzel.
Pretzel.
This prequel setting allows for some playful continuity twists and Easter eggs that cross-reference the main SpongeBob timeline. For example, one early gag in this episode quietly contradicts a beloved classic episode. Patrick is distracted by a boot and ends up tying up this boot.
Patrick!
Sorry again, Mr. Tentacles. Just tying my shoe. Ready!
Now, this is kind of a problem, guys, as if we rewind back to the iconic SpongeBob episode, Your Shoes Untied, there's something from that episode that the writer of Squizzery clearly missed. In that season 2 episode, neither SpongeBob nor Patrick knew how to tie their shoes at all. It's like the main plot point. I know that it is technically an alternate universe, as I established earlier, but it's still technically a prequel, so it's just very weird that Patrick in the prequel knows how to tie his shoes, but then doesn't know how to tie his shoes in the regular SpongeBob show. This was likely just a fun oversight, but for me personally, I can't imagine Patrick forgetting how to tie his shoes by adulthood. But anyways, let's get to the Easter eggs and references. Those are more interesting, as there are also hints of Patrick's future living situation. While stranded and needing a place to stay, Patrick cobbles together a shelter made out of wooden planks that's shaped exactly like his iconic rock home.
Check it out. I built us a rock.
You built a rock
Uh-huh.
out of logs,
Yep.
right next to an actual rock.
Correct.
This is a really cool bit of continuity and a cool reference to the original SpongeBob show. But keeping it moving, meanwhile, Squidward's misery in the woods gives rise to a brilliant pop culture reference. As Patrick cheerfully prevents Squidward from escaping, for Squidward's own good, of course, according to Patrick, Patrick responds to Squidward's orders with a deadpan line that may be familiar to some nerds out there.
Just leave me alone!
I'm afraid I can't do that, Mr. Tentacles. Until you're all better, I'm going to do everything for you. See?
This is actually a direct parody of Hal 9000's famous line, where he says the following.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
So yeah, this is a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey, a really cool reference for sci-fi fans. But visually, Squizzery keeps the Easter eggs coming. We're not done yet. At one point, a completely out-of-place landmark appears during Squidward and Patrick's trek back to camp. The Brooklyn Bridge can be glimpsed in the background right over here. It's a surreal blink and you'll miss it detail, implying the camp might be nearer to the surface world than we thought. But more likely, it's just a funny gag. Once the pair finally return to Camp Koral at sunrise, with Squidward tied to Patrick's back, they stumble into the boys' cabin. And this is where we can find some more Easter eggs, but we need to keep our eyes peeled, okay? For a split second, we can see SpongeBob inside reading this Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy comic book, which makes perfect sense in this timeline. Of course, young SpongeBob would be a huge fan of superheroes, especially the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series. And there's a few more things here, alright? When everybody leaves and Squidward and Patrick dance, we can see the camper rules list right here, and one amusing rule reads, all jazz must be smooth. This is also a reference. It's a wink to the SpongeBob episode Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom, the episode where Squidward obsesses over smooth jazz legend Kelpie G.
So nice to be surrounded by such kindred spirits.
You can say that again. It's a rare treat to mingle with true diehard smooth jazzes.
You said it, lady. I've been a diehard since 10 this morning.
Clearly, even as a kid, Squidward is already enforcing jazz standards in their shared space, with him demanding that any jazz in his dorm must be smooth. Very funny. In Season 12 Swamp Mates, Patrick and Bubble Bass get lost in a murky kelp swamp during a playdate gone wrong. Now, before we get into the Easter eggs, I actually want to talk about a deleted scene for this episode. Originally, there was supposed to be a scene where Bubble Bass and Patrick were sucked on by leeches. More specifically, their butts. As his butt was getting sucked on, Bubble Bass was going to say, "Leeches, my cheeks, I'm nothing without my bubbly orbs." However, it was revealed that this scene was eventually cut. There are the images of it that I've been showing, especially this one right here, where they're literally sucking his butt. The joke isn't really inappropriate, but I can understand why it was cut considering it is a kid's show. Here's a couple more fun facts before we get into the Easter eggs for this one, because there's some interesting stuff here. For one, have you guys ever wondered how old Bubble Bass is? Well, it's confirmed in this episode during this clip right here.
So your mother has scheduled a play date for you.
I'm not 23 anymore, Mother. You'll just have to cancel it.
Well, if Bubble Bass isn't 23, then that means he's 24. So yeah, if you've ever wondered his age, yeah, he's 24. He kind of reminds me of myself, a grown man collecting collectibles and liking nerd stuff. But okay, Easter eggs, and here's the first one. If we go back years in the past to Season 3, there was the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. And this episode's really cool because it's like an Avengers-style SpongeBob episode, where SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Sandy team up with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy to form an Avengers-style team, with them each getting their own superhero moniker. SpongeBob is the Quickster, Sandy is Miss Appear, she can turn invisible, Squidward is Captain Magma, and Patrick is the Elastic Waistband. Together, they're the International Justice League of Super Acquaintances, and they report to the Chief, this guy right here.
Our sources last saw Evil harassing teenagers up at Makeout Reef. You know, Makeout Reef?
Now, we haven't seen this wacky character for a long time. He really only appeared in this episode. But this all changed in Swamp Mates, with Martin Olsen reprising his role and making his first appearance in like 20 plus years. It's also worth noting that if you look on his desk, there's a bunch of like fake SpongeBob toys or altered or bootleg SpongeBob toys. And this is for a reason. This is due to FCC regulations prohibiting the advertisement of merchandise related to a children's program within or during the same programming block as that program, which makes sense. It basically means that you can't advertise other SpongeBob toys or merchandise while the show is actively airing. But yeah, if we look at his desk, we can see a bootleg SpongeBob piggy bank or coin bank, a fake version of the original SpongeBob Funko Pop, and 2 other fake figures of unknown origin. Let's keep it moving though with more Easter eggs from this same episode. And to do that, we have to rewind back to the episode Goons on the Moon. In this episode, we were introduced to the action dog figure, the teenage action boy figure, and the teenage action girl action figures. Now, we haven't seen them since Goons on the Moon, and they seem to be pretty rare collectibles. And it seems that they're referenced in Swamp Mates, as look, right here, we can see all 3 figures. Really pushing the point that Bubble Bass is a major dork. If you guys could see my bedroom, I'm very similar to Bubble Bass. But let's keep it going even more, as during Bubble Bass's imaginative description of him capturing Man Ray, for one, it shows that Man Ray is a member of Evil, another reference to the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. Like I said, in that episode, SpongeBob, Sandy, and the crew, they form their own Avengers Justice League style group. But so do all of the villains, with them forming Evil, which, as you guys should know, stands for every villain is lemons. I mean, come on. But there's more. For one, it also says that Man Ray is allergic to tartar sauce, and this is actually a fact. If we go back to the episode, Back to the Past, we can see that this is a fact.
Now prepare for a heaping helping of quick-drying tartar sauce.
And last but not least, it also shows that Man Ray hates the tickle belt, and this is another direct reference, this time to Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3. More specifically, this hilarious scene where Man Ray just cannot stop laughing.
Frequency rising! Belt out of control! Belt up too high! Tickling my DNA! Make it stop!
Our next episode is Sanitation Insanity. In this episode, Mr. Krabs' penny-pinching ways lands the Krusty Krab in trouble with the law, forcing him, or rather Squidward and SpongeBob, to clean all of Bikini Bottom's trash. Now, we're gonna get into the Easter eggs and trivia, of course, but I gotta be honest with you, Mr. Krabs is definitely in the wrong here. I mean, look at just how nasty the Krusty Krab is in the start of this episode.
Get in the bag! Filthy trash juice! Trash juice!
Hey, maybe we should use another garbage bag, Mr. Krabs. This one's kind of full.
Forget it, boyo! I'm not paying for another garbage bag!
You know, I used to fantasize about being able to try a real Krabby Patty, not like a fast food collab version, but a real one from the Krusty Krab. But after this episode, I'm good, I don't want one. But anyways, what starts off as a riff on Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful, another littering themed episode, quickly turns into a chaotic adventure with a garbage truck mech. Along the way, Sanitation Insanity crams in nods to past SpongeBob episodes and broader pop culture overall. For example, early in the cleanup, SpongeBob uses his porous nature to his advantage.
Oh, all this fresh air feels great in my holes.
Now, if that sight and that sound feel familiar, it's because it's deliberately a reference to the episode Spongehinge, where wind blowing through SpongeBob's holes produced music that attracted jellyfish. This clip from Sanitation Insanity is also a callback to another older episode, Earworm, where SpongeBob's body became an instrument for a catchy song.
Keep your trap shut. But it wasn't my trap!
In fact, the brief melody SpongeBob whistles here in Sanitation Insanity is actually a familiar song, and you guys should already know. I mean, come on, it's the SpongeBob theme song itself. But as the trash collection escalates, the garbage truck SpongeBob and Squidward use actually transforms into like a full-on robotic transformer, sprouting arms and legs in parody of Transformers. This was confirmed by the production team. It's really cool. I mean, even the transformation sequence is a nod to Transformers. And supposedly, according to the team, it's also meant to be a reference to the Megazords from Power Rangers. I gotta say, seeing a mundane garbage truck become a literal robot battle monster is really cool. And there's more going on here. During the Robo Rampage, the show slips in a cameo that made any veteran fan cheer, including me. I'm a nerd and I was very happy. As the garbage bot smashes through various locations, one scene shows a shady-looking used boat dealership. And if you look closely, there's a familiar character here. If you guys didn't recognize him, the salesman right here is actually the same con man fish from Chocolate with Nuts. This character, also known as Incidental 118C, is famous for swindling SpongeBob and Patrick by faking an injury in that season 3 episode.
No self-respecting candy bar salesman would be caught dead without one of these. It's a candy bar bag, you knucklehead. Suckers.
Well, in Sanitation Insanity, he appears in New Grift, selling boatmobiles to an unsuspecting customer named Carl, only to have SpongeBob's runaway trash truck demolish his entire inventory. It's a perfect little Easter egg reimagining the con man as a sleazy used car or boat salesman, which is actually like spot on for his character. Let's head over to our next episode, Buff for Puff. Of course, here's the Easter egg and what the Easter egg is referencing.
Nice show, bro!
Whoa, Mr. Krabs! Looking good! Was that Larry?
Alright, if you aren't a massive SpongeBob nerd like I am and tapped into the SpongeBob universe, you might not get this one. But as some of you probably know, there's a SpongeBob spin-off show called Camp Koral. Both Mo and Craig Mamelton appear weightlifting together, which is also a reference to them being Frigate Captain members back in Camp Koral as well. So yeah, here's Easter egg number 2 from Buff for Puff.
This was a mistake. Abandon gym!
You can do this, Mr. Krabs! Do it for Mrs. Puff!
SpongeBob's gym outfit in this shot right here is the exact same one he wears when exercising with Gary in Gary's Got Legs. Let's head over to Single Cell Defense and talk about the Easter egg I found in that episode. Okay, so this flower shop right here with shattered glass is a reference to the episode Love That Squid. You guys seen the clips before this, so you get it, but this one's hilarious. I love that they even kept the shattered glass from Love That Squid. Here's Easter egg number 2.
Congratulations, Plankton! But remember, This technique is to be used strictly for self-defense.
Oh, of course, Sensei Sandy.
This one's kinda weak, but I'm gonna include it anyways. But as you heard, Sandy tells Plankton to only use self-defense for good, which is exactly what she told Squidward in Squid Defense.
Karate ain't for revenge. It's a delicate art that helps you protect yourself.
So let's talk about the episode Unreal Estate next. It's from season 10. In this one, Squidward tricks SpongeBob into thinking his pineapple house is dangerous to live in, hoping SpongeBob will move away. Well, as SpongeBob daydreams about new homes, the episode pays homage to SpongeBob's history in many subtle ways. Right from the title card, Unreal Estate telegraphs a hidden gag, with its background art being pretty much the same as another episode's background art, Sentimental Sponge. Both cards share a bold, colorful geometric pattern. The only difference is the color, with it being pink in Unreal Estate and yellow or orange in Sentimental Sponge. And while it's possible that they may have just reused the asset, SpongeBob writers and producers and artists in the past have done this, where they use a similar piece of art in the title card to pay homage to an older episode. I am rambling though, and this one definitely sounds like a little bit of a reach, but let's head over to more interesting Easter eggs. Next up is Insecurity Guards. In this one, SpongeBob and Patrick become watchmen at the Bikini Bottom Museum of Everything, and their security antics wreak havoc on the exhibits. But throughout all the museum chaos, a refined figure from SpongeBob's past is hiding in plain sight. If we look at this one scene early on, the camera pans across a crowd of museum goers. And if you're a true SpongeBob fan, you should be able to catch who's in this shot. Roll the footage.
Now, rule number 1 of guarding is don't let visitors touch stuff.
No touchy, no feely. Aye, aye.
For those of you who don't know or missed it, this guy right here is Monty P. Moneybags. And if we rewind all the way back to season 2, there was the episode Artist Unknown. Monty P. Moneybags is a wealthy art collector, and Squidward wants to impress him. But as you guys can imagine, this does not go very well.
Good day, sir. My name is Monty P. Moneybags.
The world-famous art collector?
You want to know, ne? I'm on a shopping spree, buying art for my new museum.
Your search is over. How about this one? I call it bold and brash.
More like belongs in the trash.
Sorry, I must have missed that one.
Monty Moneybags hasn't appeared in an episode in like 20 plus years. His last and only appearance was back in 2001's Artist Unknown. So to see him again in season 12, silently touring a museum as a background character is a deep cut Easter egg that really caught my attention. And there's more. If we head back to the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie, we were introduced to this version of King Neptune. And as you guys know, his crown was a major aspect of that episode, with it hiding his baldness. This thing was very important to him, but it seems that even years later, it's still missing as a look.
Hey, Patrick, I think that guy's trying to
touch that painting!
If we pause right here, we can see that it's still missing, and it can be found in the museum as one of the things that the robber stole. This is a really cool Easter egg. I mean, that movie came out in 2004, so considering that this episode came out in 2019, it shows that the writers were really paying attention. Also, a fun fact, in this episode we were introduced to this painting right here, and we would not see it for a long time after this. It seemed that originally it was going to be exclusive to this episode in Security Guards, but if we fast forward years later to the Camp Koral episode, Revel Revolution, it actually appears in this scene right here.
No one wakes us up like you, and I should know. I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah, I go.
I have all your albums.
Here's a side-by-side, and that's definitely the same painting, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. On top of that painting, there's a couple of other paintings in this episode that seem to be references. For example, this one painting here with Mr. Krabs and the Krabby Patty, it's actually a reference to The Creation of Adam, a painting made by Italian artist Michelangelo.
What you doing?
I'm cleaning centuries of dirt from this priceless painting.
Going too slow.
I think I know how we can speed things along.
Or Or there's also this painting with Mrs. Puff right here, and it's actually a reference to the Mona Lisa, obviously, one of the most famous paintings ever. And there's actually a bunch of other cool references throughout this episode to famous statues and paintings, but we can't cover them all. So let's head over to another episode with more Easter eggs. Let's head over to the Dirty Bubble Bass, which has 4 Easter eggs in the one episode. Here's the first one.
We can handle this ourselves.
This is really cool. So back in Mermaid Pants, which isn't the oldest episode, but it's still already around like 10 years old. But in this episode, it's revealed that Mr. Krabs is actually a comic book fan, which I'm gonna be honest with you is not very like accurate to his character. This dude used to serve in the Navy. When was he ever reading comics? But anyways, Mr. Krabs' superhero room that was first introduced in Mermaid Pants reappears in his office in this episode.
No!
This one goes really back to Krusty Krab training video, one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes, as in this episode we see this please wash your fins sign right here. Now we literally haven't seen this sign since that episode, but we do see it in the Dirty Bubble Bass right here, making for a cool reference.
Jackpot! Or should I say, chump pot?
Back in the Hankering, a big plot point is this large vat of chum. And in the Dirty Bubble Bass, it just randomly reappears right here. Here's one more from the Dirty Bubble Bass, and then we'll head over to our next episode.
382.
Did you catch it? Well, the kitchen sign from the classic episode Welcome to the Chum Bucket reappears in that same chum vat scene. The Patrick Star Show spinoff is essentially a mini sketch comedy showcase, but it doesn't skimp out on SpongeBob references, Easter eggs, and meta humor. In Late for Breakfast, Patrick misses his family's breakfast and scrambles to fill his belly and airtime by hosting a cooking segment on his makeshift variety show.
Cook at 1,000 degrees for 1 second. It's ready!
Now, this whole sequence is a goldmine of Easter eggs and sly nods. As Patrick raids the house for ingredients, he tosses just about anything into his casserole, if that's what you want to call it, including a pair of delicious, I'm sure they would taste great, right? These right here, dirty sneakers. Longtime SpongeBob fans will recognize those beat up black high top sneakers, as they look identical to the shoes Plankton gave SpongeBob as part of his elaborate plan 20 years ago, like 20 plus years ago. Welcome to the Chum Bucket.
Wow!
So now do you have everything you need to make some Krabby Patties?
Well...
So seeing them here is really, really cool. Now, I will say this is most likely just a fun prop reuse by the artists, but it could also have been an intentional Easter egg. And if so, you know, props to the team, because this is a cool one. But if we keep it moving, as Patrick's chaotic cooking continues, with him adding stinky socks and used napkins, delicious, his little sister Squidina encourages him to work with what he's got. Eventually, Patrick cooks the monstrosity at 1,000 degrees for 1 second. But more importantly, the real Easter eggs come when the casserole is done, and Patrick's show rules its credit sequence. In universe, these are fake vanity credits for Patrick's imaginary production crew. Like, as you guys know, a big element of the Patrick Star Show is that it's like a show within a show. But back to the point, every name on this scrolling fake credits right here is a pun on a real SpongeBob production staff member. For example, the credits list Mark C. I'm not gonna try and say his last name, but this is actually a spoof of a real person, executive producer Mark C. And I'm not gonna try and say his last name again, but here's both names side by side, and you can see this is intentional. There's also Vincent Walla, clearly referencing SpongeBob veteran Vincent Waller. Andy Badman stands in for writer Andrew Goodman. That one's actually funny. Louis K. Shire for writer Look Brookshire. And there's a couple of more, but you guys get the point. Another interesting Easter egg from this episode is a specific line that Patrick sings. Take a look at this clip and it might be familiar to you guys. Like I said, you may have heard that before, and it's because this is like a classic gag for Patrick. He said the same line back in the episode Shanghai from season 3 right here. And he also says a similar thing in the episode You Don't Know Sponge, if we fast forward to this scene right here and I'll play the clip.
Oh, it's Patrick!
Next up, we've got the episode Bassword. Here's Easter egg number 1.
Old Man Jenkins has a plane!
Oh, yeah.
This one is so cool. So if we go back to, I believe, season 3, we have the episode, The Sponge Who Could Fly. And in this episode, SpongeBob wants to fly like the jellyfish. And when his pants get like inflated, he actually like kind of flies. Now, there's a running gag in this episode about Old Man Jenkins and his plane, as you guys seen in the clips, all right? Well, this exact plane from The Sponge Who Could Fly reappears in Bassword.
Jetsam City, here I come!
This one's like interesting, but the Bikini Bottom Station has the exact same design it had back in the Great Patty Capital. Next up is Hot Pearl Tato, another episode from Camp Koral. When a baby Pearl Krabs shows up at Camp Koral, SpongeBob and friends struggle to babysit the mighty infant. I mean, considering how much of a pain Pearl is like in regular SpongeBob, just imagine like baby Pearl. This girl one time almost flooded the entire Krusty Krab because she couldn't find a date to prom.
Here, take SpongeBob!
The fry cook? Do you know what that would do to my complexion? People will mistake me for a planetarium.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
So just imagine a baby version of her, oh my god. As I expected, she's a handful, crawling off into the woods, which leads to some wild encounters with mythical camp critters. In one scene, SpongeBob's camp buddies, Bubble Bass, Kevin, and Harvey, break out a board game called Escape from Mom's Basement. This hilarious fictional game is a wink at adult Bubble Bass's well-known living situation. I mean, also here's a side-by-side, as this game, Escape from Mom's Basement, basically looks exactly like adult Bubble Bass's actual setup in his mom's basement. And yeah, this is definitely the writers having a little bit of fun here. Later on in the episode, as SpongeBob and Squidward chase baby Pearl through the kelp forest, they bounce off a slumbering giant creature. And this thing should be familiar to you guys. It's a sea moose, also known as a moose snail. Now, eagle-eyed fans may recognize this beast, as it first appeared in the main series episode, A Cabin in the Kelp, blocking the Gal Pals road trip. Seeing it here marks the creature's return, now in a CG form, as it swats at SpongeBob and Squidward until Pearl shows off her inherited strength. The episode even brings in a campfire legend, a sea bear. And for those of you who don't know, the sea bear first appeared in the episode The Camping Episode.
Maybe it's because you're not wearing your sombrero in a goofy fashion.
You mean like this?
No, like that.
It's had a few brief appearances since then, but its main role has been in the camping episode from season 3 where it beats up Squidward. So it appearing here is definitely some sort of reference. So yeah, lots of interesting Easter eggs in this episode, and let's keep it moving. It's stand-up comedy night in our next episode at Camp Koral, with a legendary joke-telling sea kraken, the Wise Kraken, headlining a show for the campers. This episode, Wise Kraken, doubles as a tribute to SpongeBob's comedic past, both in content and in cheeky references. For one, the outdoor comedy venue is dubbed the Comedy Canteen, which immediately rings a bell, at least for me. It seems to be a sly spin on the comedy Krab from the classic SpongeBob episode Squirrel Jokes. In that episode, Mr. Krabs briefly turned the Krusty Krab into a comedy club called the Comedy Krab.
Okay, everybody settle down. Welcome to the Comedy Krab.
Here at camp, the Comedy Canteen serves as a similar role. There's a bunch of other similarities between the Comedy Canteen and the Comedy Krab, and it's been theorized that originally it was supposed to be the Comedy Krab. However, I think that the writers forgot that this is a prequel show and that the Comedy Krab wouldn't have existed yet technically. So they had to do a swap and turn it into the Comedy Canteen. This is something I've read on Reddit, but I don't know if this is actually true or not. And to be honest with you, it sounds like a stupid fan theory, so. But before we move on to to another episode, here's a fun fact about this one. So as you guys know, Lady Upturn recently has become more of a regular character on the show. She originally was like a one-off character, but since Camp Koral, even in regular SpongeBob like season 13, season 14, 15, and 16, Lady Upturn is in a ton of episodes. There are some episodes where she's like a prominent character, and sometimes she's even the antagonist. And it all started with this episode, as this is the one that introduced her main catchphrase, "I am offended."
Why did the sea captain flush the toilet?
Why?
Because it was its duty!
I am offended! Oh!
It's not that big of a deal, but it's cool to see that this is where the catchphrase originated from. The episode Bunny Hunt is a later season gem loaded with background Easter eggs and continuity nods, all wrapped in a silly plot about a wild sea bunny infestation. The episode finds Squidward's garden overrun by a cute but destructive sea bunny named Bunny Wunny, leading to ever-escalating chaos, like this bunny is a troublemaker. But let's get into the Easter eggs, as longtime viewers will recognize Squidward's backyard setting from an earlier episode. At the climax, dozens of bunnies swarm and even pop out of a wooden shed behind Squidward's house. And it might just seem like some random shed, but that shed is a blink and you'll miss it reference to another episode, The Curse of Bikini Bottom from season 7. In that episode, a shed randomly appeared in Squidward's yard for a gag.
Let's go look for something to do in Old Man Squidward's shed!
But it isn't actually a part of Squidward's like actual house layout. If we look at other episodes and we see his backyard, the shed isn't there. So its reappearance here years later is a delightful continuity nod for fans who remember the one-off structure. The interiors of SpongeBob's pineapple in this episode are also a treasure trove of callbacks. When SpongeBob temporarily adopts the sea bunny, we see his living room shelves decorated with familiar mementos. Notably, this ball right here, which is Gary's toy ball, which is actually from an episode, Gary's New Toy.
Okay, that's just creepy. Gary, I think you need to spend some time away from this ball. This isn't helping your case.
It's right here on the shelf, making for a cool reference. Here's a side-by-side. And nearby is SpongeBob's ukulele from the classic Fun Song and the episode of the same name. SpongeBob even has a framed photo of a baby Gary the Snail. However, this little touch actually created a little bit of a continuity puzzle. I mean, how would SpongeBob have a baby picture of Gary if, according to the new canon, he met Gary as a kid at Camp Koral? We've talked about this before, but let me clarify, as Nickelodeon has ultimately confirmed that Camp Koral exists in an alternate timeline from the main series. In other words, the main SpongeBob from the core SpongeBob universe likely raised Gary from a young age, hence the baby photo here, whereas Camp Koral is a separate take on their origin. It's interesting stuff, but just wanted to clarify it. But let's keep it moving because there's a lot of references in this episode. Even if we pop over to Squidward's house, as hanging on his wall is a painting that spoofs another famous painting called The Scream, created by Edvard Munch. I hope I said it correctly. I'm sorry, Edvard Munch, if I said your name wrong. Just this time, as you guys can see, it has a more Squidward touch to it. Here's a side-by-side. Even more surprising, though, is the cameo of an extremely obscure character. This human supervillain with a clam on his head appeared once in the very first Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, back in 1999.
Oh no! A raging whirlpool!
But after an 18-year absence, he actually shows up again in this episode, on a comic book cover that SpongeBob shields from Bunny Wunny's destruction. It's a blink and you'll miss it detail, but a really cool one that's also pretty rewarding to fans that know their SpongeBob lore. I mean, clearly some of the SpongeBob staff are just as obsessed with SpongeBob lore as I am, as Clamhead Candy Cat's inclusion, however brief, acknowledges the depth of the Mermaid Man universe, and is a treat for any of the nerds out there that remember all of the different villains from SpongeBob. But Bunny Hunt doesn't just reference SpongeBob's past. It throws in a bit of real-world culture too. Squidward, ever the sophisticated squid, drops a couple of French phrases during this episode, and if you were ever wondering what he said, I got you covered. At one point, he exclaims, "Sacre bleu," when speaking to a wooden dummy, a mild, old-fashioned French curse equivalent to the word damn it. Later, during a melodramatic funeral for his garden, Squidward sighs, "C'est la
la vie.
Meaning that's life in French. Some more fun facts for you guys right there. And I guess it's canon that Squidward can speak French, which is kind of fitting to his character. It's also kind of a smart way to sneak in a swear. Damn it is kind of like an edgy word, and you don't see a lot of characters from kid shows saying it, so it being in French was a way for Nickelodeon to sneak it in. At least that's my theory. A game theory. And let's head over to another episode. In this episode, Midnight Snack Attack, Plankton schemes to turn his fellow campers into mindless mutants with a secret midnight snack experiment. The mini-villain imagines using the campers as the first step in a quest for world domination, but it's the tongue-in-cheek references that truly feed fans. Early on, Plankton monologues about his plan, with him saying the following.
First, I'll take over this camp and then go to college, get my bachelor's degree in world domination science, and then take over the world!
This is a hilarious over-the-top line that riffs on classic cartoon villains, but also winks at Plankton's own academic pretensions. Karen dryly suggests he might need a certain secret formula to succeed, prompting Plankton to scoff, "Secret formula? Don't be ridiculous."
There must be some simple way to world domination. Maybe an equation, a theory.
A secret formula?
Secret formula? Don't be ridiculous.
I think the reference here is pretty clear. As you guys know, in regular SpongeBob, like the original SpongeBob SquarePants show, Plankton's #1 goal is to get the Krabby Patty secret formula. And this is a clear reference to that. What's really funny here is Plankton doesn't even know it yet. He doesn't know that that's his life goal. I'm sure if future Plankton could hear younger Plankton saying this, he'd give him a good schmack in the head. And there's actually more when it comes to this episode. Another interesting Easter egg that, to be honest with you, at first I was like, is this actually an Easter egg? But it is if you really think about it. So if we go to the movie, we can see that Plankton has this filing cabinet right here, which is kind of why I wasn't going to include this one. Like, it's just a random file cabinet, but there is some good continuity here, because if you look in Midnight Snack Attack, when we look at Plankton's laboratory in this episode, look, the same filing cabinet appears right here. And yeah, it's the same thing. So I guess this is a reference. I don't know if it was actually intentional, but it's a reference. Normally I find a lot of these Easter eggs myself. This one's from the wiki, so if you don't agree with it, blame the wiki. But also, I love the SpongeBob wiki. Shout out to the moderator. And this brings us to our next episode, Just One Bite from Season 3. This classic episode centers on Squidward's secret love for Krabby Patties, where basically he acts like he hates them, but once he tries one and takes like the smallest bite you could humanly take, yeah, that was the smallest bite ever. But after this, Squidward becomes addicted to Krabby Patties. And this episode, Just One Bite, is actually famous amongst fans for a scene that vanished after its original airing. This is another deleted scene. The deleted scene in question occurs during Squidward's midnight break-in. In the uncut version, shown only during the Totally Twisted telly premiere back in 2001, Mr. Krabs had set up a booby trap in the Krusty Krab for intruders to prevent people from breaking in when the stores close. But instead of a regular alarm system, he does something pretty crazy. Squidward sneaks through the door only to have a bucket of gasoline tip over and drench him. And what happens next is pretty crazy considering this is a kid's show.
Hey, this isn't water. This is gas.
This over-the-top trap, a bucket of gas, and a robot arm is oddly high-tech for Mr. Krabs, just saying, who usually isn't very tech-savvy, but it certainly shows the lengths that Mr. Krabs would go to protect his secret formula. But here's where the controversy comes in. By early 2002, Nickelodeon removed this gasoline trap scene from all reruns and future releases. They just cut that chunk out of the episode pretty much, so it just jumps. And also, I want to point out, if you're from Canada, this didn't actually happen overseas or in Canada, and let me explain why. You know, I try to keep my content as accessible as possible. That way kids can watch it, and people my age, older people who grew up with the show, can also enjoy these videos. So just a heads up, this part is controversial, but it's also educational as well, I guess. As eventually, the official reason for this scene being cut came out later. The reason it was cut was in part out of sensitivity due to the episode airing shortly after 9/11, and largely due to standards and practices concerns about kids potentially imitating the dangerous gag with matches and fuel. And this isn't just speculation. Writer Jay Lender confirmed that even though the scene initially passed Nickelodeon censors, the network reconsidered after the September 2001 attacks. But yeah, like I said, if you're a Canadian boy like me, that's why you remember seeing this scene still, as Canadian airings on YTV still kept the scene in. But yeah, there's a little fun fact for you guys. I know that wasn't necessarily an Easter egg, but in these videos, I'm probably going to start covering trivia and facts as well, and you gotta admit that was interesting. Now, I'm gonna move over to another episode and I'm gonna stop rambling, but if you're still awake, I'm gonna ask one more time, can you guys please subscribe? I'm like the only non-AI SpongeBob sleep channel right now on YouTube. All these other sleep channels, guys, are AI, and I'd really appreciate your subscription. I'm trying to hit 10K, and just, yeah, I put a lot of love into these videos, so if you're enjoying them, please, like, you know, I know you're trying to sleep, grab your phone and click subscribe. Anyways, I'm gonna be quiet and let's get back to the video. The episode SpongeBob Trash Pants turns a simple beach cleanup into a high-speed spectacle, brimming with references to SpongeBob's past. The episode finds SpongeBob volunteering to rid Goo Lagoon, Bikini Bottom's beach, of litter, and in doing so, he essentially becomes a one-sponge sanitation army, complete with a snappy uniform.
Trash, trash, everywhere trash. Picking up flotsam and jetsam. SpongeBob's the name, and litter's my game. So if you got garbage, I'll get some.
Well, longtime fans will immediately recognize SpongeBob's outfit in that last scene I just played, as it's almost a duplicate of the Union Soldier-style uniform he wore during the indoor campout of the Season 6 episode Pineapple Fever. The difference, though, this new version is bright white and sports a taller cap, but the homage is unmistakable. It's a fun visual cue that SpongeBob is entering battle mode against trash, much like he did against Cabin Fever, and indeed, he takes his new duty comedically seriously, which, as you guys know, that's how SpongeBob is. Remember when he became a hall monitor? He took that job equally as seriously. Anyways though, when this potato chip bag catches the breeze and flies off, SpongeBob gives chase across Bikini Bottom, and the episode becomes a grand tour of Easter eggs. The first stop, the boat rental kiosk at Goo Lagoon, which eagle-eyed viewers will remember from the episode Abandoned Twits. And there's more. As SpongeBob sprints past, determined to catch the rapper, he suddenly pulls off a classic gag. He deepens his voice to a booming baritone and sprouts a heroic square jaw. This hilarious transformation is a direct callback to this scene from the episode Hall Monitor.
And assume my duties as
Hall Monitor!
Wish me luck, Mrs. Puff.
Gotcha!
Fell for the old tears of a trash man routine. I'll just put you in my pocket for safekeeping.
As you just seen, SpongeBob for a moment acquires a deep authority voice and ends up looking like a total Chad, a Giga Chad. Look at that jawline. In Hall Monitor, it was a part of his overzealous persona, and seeing it resurface in an episode years later, like 20 years later, is a perfect inside joke showing that SpongeBob is still a control freak, and he can have a really nice jawline sometimes. The chase scene becomes a who's who of Bikini Bottom cameos. At one point, the hot rod tough guy from the episode Midlife Crustacean zooms by in his flaming convertible.
Hey, you guys must be lost! Doofus Drive is around the corner!
This time though, he gets pulled over by a police officer for speeding. The tough guy instantly becomes a softie. He produces flowers and chocolate out of nowhere and hands them to the cop in apology. But meanwhile, in the midst of the chaos, Bubble Bass barrels through the scene wearing a familiar ensemble he wore way back in the Season 1 episode Fools in April. I guess Bubble Bass hasn't updated his wardrobe since 1999, which is a cute detail for observant fans. And keep your eyes peeled on the background as Bubble Bass tries to escape SpongeBob, as for a split second, Patrick is visible hanging from a carnival prize hook on the boardwalk, desperately trying to stay hidden. The visual gag references Patrick's antics in The Whole Tooth from Season 9, where in this scene he does a very similar action at a fair to avoid going to the dentist.
Wow.
And we have a winner.
Thank you.
Oh, darn it.
It's a tiny detail, but it rewards viewers who catch the parallel Patrick once again hooked at a fair. But guess what, guys? We're still not done. There's more, and there's a lot more. As SpongeBob's pursuit takes him through town, the animators populate the streets with old establishments we've seen in prior episodes. We pass by mattresses and then some, and if this store looks familiar, it's because we've seen it before. It's the exact same store from the old school episode, The Lost Mattress, where SpongeBob and friends bought a new bed for Mr. Krabs. Next is Martha's Craft Zone, which again, we haven't seen it for a while. The last time we seen it was in the episode Have You Seen This Snail, when SpongeBob gathered supplies to make Missing Gary posters. And then, in a triple whammy, we see Weenie Hut Juniors, the Pizza Pie Hole, and Taco Sombrero. Now I'm hungry, but this is the trio of fast food joints where SpongeBob tried working at when he got fired in the episode SpongeBob, You're Fired. Seeing all these locations on one boardwalk is like a mini SpongeBob map of memories, cleverly inserted without fanfare. They establish Bikini Bottom's continuity, as all of these places still exist and are open for business, even as SpongeBob rushes by on his mission. The climax of the chase sequence is equally jam-packed with even more references. SpongeBob ends up launching into the air and crashes directly into a horse-drawn funeral carriage, driven by Slappy, the living dummy character from Nickelodeon's crossover, The Patrick Star Show. As SpongeBob hurtles through the psychedelic sky, keen fans will notice it's the same sky tunnel that Mrs. Puff and SpongeBob flew through in the episode Doing Time. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, man, this is a reference to a season 3 episode. It's really cool. Reusing that distinctive swirling background for SpongeBob's trash flight is a brilliant deep cut. And even the title card of SpongeBob Trash Pants carries an Easter egg. Its design mimics the title card of Jellyfish Hunter from season 2, except now there's trash everywhere around the title. But actually, there's more, and you really need to be a nerd to catch this one. As a cherry on top, the episode slips in a meta reference that even the most seasoned fans might have been stunned by. For those who don't know, a WH-2O radio tower appears during the chase, a sunken red and white boat with a tall antenna, mass broadcasting music. Casual viewers might just see a random radio station, but SpongeBob nerds like me recognize WH-2O as the fictional Bikini Bottom radio from the Best Day Ever album, a SpongeBob music album released in 2006 that opened with a WH-2O skit. I'm gonna play it here. I'm gonna try to put some music in the background maybe so it doesn't get claimed, but listen.
Hi, radio listeners. This is SpongeBob SquarePants. When I'm in Bikini Bottom, I listen to Albacore, the tuneful tuna, on WH-2O. WH-2O.
In Trash Pants, this very station is shown for the very first time in the series, making the first ever crossover of a SpongeBob album element into the TV show. On the other side of the station is text proudly declaring nothing but chase music since 2006, a cheeky reference to the album's release year and the jaunty chase music it featured. It's an Easter egg that nobody saw coming, not even me, breaking the wall between SpongeBob music and cartoon canon. And with that, SpongeBob Trash Pants cements itself as a treasure trove of inside jokes. An episode that, much like SpongeBob's trusty uniform, stitches the old and new together in one entertaining package. In the episode Laundromat, SpongeBob and Squidward take a mundane errand, washing clothes at the laundromat, and turn it into a wacky monster movie that gleefully cleans up on references. The episode brings back the wash, the same Bikini Bottom laundromat that Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Patrick visited during their night out in Midlife Crustacean.
Hello, gang. SpongeBob's back.
Let's party! Any part in the store? Wait a minute. This is a laundromat.
I guess the writers in season 16 really like this episode, Midlife Crustacean. It's a good episode, man. Remember when Mr. Krabs stole his own mom's underwear? That's a story for another day, but let's keep it moving. Die-hard fans will remember that in that season 3 episode, the trio's big evening of fun ended up turning into doing laundry at the wash. As you guys have seen in my more recent videos, and even in this one, this seems to be a big trend in recent seasons, is them taking locations or characters from older episodes and making them a part of the world of SpongeBob instead of them just being one-off locations. For example, this wash place was just a one-off location in Midlife Crustacean, so it's cool that they're making it like a part of the lore. But let's keep it moving. As the episode progresses, and after an intense cycle, SpongeBob triumphantly presents Rube's freshly cleaned hat, and in that moment, he strikes a familiar pose. His face is the spitting image of the goofy, anticipatory grin he showed in the Krusty Krab training video episode. When waiting for the narrator narrator to reveal the secret formula. It's the same wide-eyed, toothy face full of excitement. And fans of that classic training spoof will instantly recall SpongeBob quivering with that exact same expression. Here's a side-by-side and yeah, like you can see it. This is a really cool reference, but of course I've got more. The mundane soon turns monstrous as an overloaded washing machine comes to life, assembling itself into a sudsy giant. Informing its body, it grabs odds and ends from around the laundromat, and one of those items had SpongeBob fans cheering: Patrick's high-heeled boots. Oh yeah! The washing machine yanks a pair of women's stiletto boots, and we see that they're the exact same that Patrick donned in this iconic scene from the original SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The monster uses them as one of its makeshift legs. It seems Patrick's fashion choice was memorable enough to haunt Bikini Bottom's laundry. And speaking of familiar faces, as the climax unfolds, none other than Fish Cowboy from the episode Boating Buddies saunters into the wash.
I think we all learned a lesson here today, and I wrote a song about it.
In Boating Buddies, this country western fish randomly appeared. Roll the footage.
I never will understand these city folk.
Laundromat brings him back for an encore, as at the end, as everyone celebrates defeating the laundry monster, this cowboy strums a guitar and sings a twangy tune called Wash and Dry. It's the same character and same gag, now hilariously repurposed for a laundromat victory song. It's an Easter egg that could easily fly under the radar, but for those who remember the random cowboy singer, it's a really cool surprise to see him return. It's random, but it's really cool. Finally though, the showrunners couldn't resist one more tongue-in-cheek reference. Throughout the episode, a bright orange and blue detergent box is visible right here, and its design and color scheme are unmistakingly evoking from the famous Tide laundry detergent brand. And I mean, come on, this one's obvious.
Tilly, be nice. Leave that starched shirt alone.
By the end of this episode, the laundromat is saved, Squidward's shirt is clean, albeit with some battle scars, and the audience is left marveling at how many jokes and references were put in this episode. I mean, from bringing back the wash, an old location we haven't seen in years, to referencing SpongeBob's first movie, Laundromat is a great episode with lots of nostalgia. First up is the season 12 episode, The Hankering, which has two really cool Easter eggs, especially if you're a big SpongeBob fan, especially if you're a fan of the older seasons. Here's the first one, and here's a little hint. This one has to do with the SpongeBob movie, the original one. Roll the footage.
Sal, I'm feeling hungry tonight. How's about another plate of chum?
That was my last plate of chum ever! I'm moving to Shell City to make it big in the pictures.
Did you guys catch it? Well, alright, Shell City, which is a location from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, is actually mentioned by Sal when he says that he moved there to become a movie star, which is really cool because the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is back in like 2004, and this is a season 12 episode. So it's awesome that the current writer still will pay homage to the older seasons and movies. And here's another Easter egg from the same episode.
Oh, come on, there's gotta be some chum in here somewhere.
Hello?
Hey, lost my shoe. See, found it. Okay, bye.
Now, I'm not 100% sure about this one, alright? But the shoe that Mr. Krabs digs out of the trash seems to resemble the one that Gary wears in the iconic classic episode, Your Shoes Untied. Here's a side-by-side. On the left, we got the one that Mr. Krabs digs out in The Hankering, and here's what it's referencing on the other side. Really cool reference. I love Easter eggs. And guys, we've got crazier Easter eggs coming up, so let's head over to another episode. Let's take a trip back in time over to SpongeBob season 5. This season was from all the way back in 2005, over 15 years ago, and the episode in particular is Slimy Dancing. You know, it's actually crazy that they were even doing Easter eggs this early on in the show's airing, like season 5. Anyways though, let's get right into it. Here's the first Easter egg. I love this one. Who remembers the episode Sailor Mouth from back in the day? In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick come across sentence-enhancing spicy words, which are pretty much swears, all right? They're saying inappropriate words, and whenever they're said, we hear like this dolphin chirping sound effect. Listen for a second.
Hello, Patrick. Lovely day we're having, isn't it?
This day is particularly lovely.
Well, this is referenced in Slimy Dancing, as when Squidward starts getting the cramp, we can hear this dolphin chirp in the background, which is most likely due to him swearing due to the pain from the cramps, which is awesome. And by the way, fun fact, this was the second time the dolphin chirping swear noise was used for censorship over swearing. It hasn't actually been done since Sailor Mouth, so awesome reference to OG SpongeBob. And baby, we've got more. Let's keep it moving and head over to another episode. We're gonna be having a lot of fun today, guys, especially if you're a big fan of SpongeBob history. This next one's pretty neat. Now, I don't use the word neat often, but this one's more of like a fun fact. It's still an Easter egg, but you guys will really like this one. In the episode Buried in Time, we get a real-life city imagined by Patrick, all right? Take a look at the clip.
What do you think Bikini Bottom will be like in the future?
Wow! Special drinking fountains for short people!
I dream of a town with the perfect blend of commerce and irrigation. Not to mention the breathtaking views.
Now, fun fact, it turns out this is a real place. It appears to be Burbank, California, the home and land of Nickelodeon Animation Studios. So, like I said, fun little fact. Let's keep it moving and get back to the real Easter eggs. Season 12 has some hit or miss episodes. Most of them are pretty good, and one of the good ones is Who Are Zoo, an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick create their own zoo made entirely out of bubbles. Pretty cool. I wish I could do that. This episode has 2 Easter eggs. Let's get right into it. Here's the first one. Keep those eyes peeled so it really makes sense. Now here's the thing for this one, if you got it, then you've watched a lot of SpongeBob, as it's a very specific reference that you'll only get if you watched the classic episode, The Thing. In this episode, Squidward gets covered in cement, and then everyone starts to think that he's some sort of creature. Of course, it's just Squidward covered in cement, but it gets so bad that the SWAT team comes in because of Patrick, and they take him to the zoo. More importantly, though, they keep them in this new area known as the Species Unknown area, since they don't know what Squidward is. Well, this Species Unknown area, which only ever appeared in The Thing, can actually be seen in this episode in the background over here, which is an awesome reference. And this one is a clear reference. Like, the Species Unknown area, habitat area in the zoo has not been there since The Thing, so I love this one. Really cool reference. And there's another one that's really gonna warm your heart if you're an old school SpongeBob fan. Look at this.
Hello, folks. Please leave all your sharp objects at the gate. Okay, Grandpa, spread them.
Yeah, I love this one too. A pencil that resembles the magic pencil from the Franken Doodle episode. You know the episode with Doodle Bop. Here's a quick clip.
Aw, look at him. Ain't he a doll? Ready for action!
Quack! Quack!
And the episode Doodle Dimension. Here's another quick clip.
SpongeBob!
Patrick, I'm right here. Aw, isn't he cute?
Yeah, that pencil is among the many items seen in the live-action close-up of Old Man Walker's box over here, which is awesome. I love Franken Doodle. They need to bring Doodle Bop back again. Actually, wait, they did in season 14. I almost forgot. Actually, as a matter of fact, let's cover that episode. It has a really cool Easter egg in it. Now, I'm gonna get into the Easter eggs, but I really want you guys to take a look at some of these hilarious moments from this episode. It's a really good one, and then we'll get right into the Easter eggs.
Hey, my imagination box. I wonder if it still works. Oh boy, it's time for imagination.
Dude, season 14 so far has been pretty tight. I'm into it. You can see there's improvements being made. There's still some stinky episodes, but this one was a good one with lots of references. Here's the first one. You've probably seen some of them in the funny moments compilation we just did, but here are these awesome Easter eggs I was talking about.
Get off my sand! happening?
Inside my imagination box. Squidward must be lost.
Lost in his own
Imagination.
So this one's simple. Pretty much, this entire episode is a sequel to the iconic episode Idiot Box. I mean, as you guys just saw, SpongeBob even does his iconic imagination animation, which is really cool. Also, here's a really fun one right here. As we learn in this episode, Squidward's imagination is the most active out of everyone's, which is why he's able to re-energize the box. By the way, we learn in this episode that the magic-like box is powered by people's imagination, and Squidward's imagination is so powerful he can recharge the thing. And this seems to directly tie in with the original episode, as if you think about it, in the end, Squidward ended up having the most fun in the box, and then he's taken away by a garbage dump, you know, in the original episode. But Squidward has the most fun with it, so it makes sense that his imagination would be the strongest. I'm rambling. There's another reference in this episode. Roll the footage.
Finally, a place with culture.
So back in the episode Mind the Gap, we were introduced to the Jazz Club, all right? And what's really important here is I want you to take a look at all of the patrons inside of it from the original episode Mind the Gap. Take a look at everybody inside, as some of these exact same people appear multiple seasons later in Squidward Box when this episode returns to the Jazz Club. So really fun reference right here. Like, here's a side-by-side of some of the characters appearing. Love references like this. And let's keep it moving. We've got more Easter eggs coming up, baby, let's go. Next up is Squid Defense, and this one has a really weird Easter egg. Before we get into that though, I want you to take a look at some of these funny moments of Squidward learning karate. It's hilarious. We're gonna get right into the Easter egg afterwards, so stay tuned.
It is me, a big scary miscreant.
Take this! Yah! Think that's gonna stop me?
Okay, it's Easter egg time, baby. Roll the footage. This one's very obscure.
Come on, Squiddy, give it the old roundhouse.
All right. Hi-ya! Come back!
So this right here is the Slug Buddy punching bag, all right? It might seem like an insignificant background object or something like that. It first appeared back in the episode The Great Snail Race. In this clip right here, take a look.
Come on, Gary, move it! Up, down, faster, go!
It then appeared later on in the episode The Way of the Sponge when SpongeBob is trying to get his black belt. Take a look at this clip. And this is where the Easter egg comes in, as it just randomly appears in Squid Defense in this scene. I already showed you guys the scene, but there it is, the Slug Buddy punching bag right there. Really cool that it reappeared again randomly in this scene. They could have used any punching bag, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they used this one with this design. It's 100% a callback. Here's another nostalgic one from an older episode, a much older episode. The reference can be found in the more recent episode though, Pat Heart Squid, and it has to do with a certain garden. Here, take a look at this.
More luggage, please.
Did you catch it? Cause it's a special one. So back in the episode Truth or Square, as you guys seen, Squidward gets his garden, all right? And he loves this thing. And look, in Pat Heart Squid, it reappears during this scene, which I love. I love that for my boy Squidward getting his garden back. Let's head over to Gary and Spot, and it references a classic episode from season 2, that being the episode Dumped. In this episode, SpongeBob gets his little heart broken when his pet snail, Gary, wants to spend more time with Patrick than himself. So, to try and make little Gary jealous, SpongeBob gets a new pet snail named Larry, who is not only a lot uglier, but a lot meaner too. Like, this snail just sucks. At one point, SpongeBob lets him sleep in his own bed and he just ruins his bed. Now, since the episode dumped, Larry has pretty much disappeared from the series, but he did pop up recently in the form of an Easter egg, as when Gary frees all of the creatures from the animal shelter in the episode Gary and Spot, Larry is one of them, thus making for a fun little callback to the show's second season, one of my favorite seasons. In the iconic season 2 episode Sailor Mouth, SpongeBob and Patrick learn some new spicy swear words from a dumpster outside of the Krusty Krab. Though they're told by Mr. Krabs not to use these bad words, they eventually ignore the old man and get themselves into some trouble. Well, Patrick gets SpongeBob into trouble when he goes to snitch on him. Before all of this happens though, we're given this iconic scene. Like, this scene is iconic, where SpongeBob and Patrick play a board game called Eels and Escalators, and it makes for a really funny scene. Well, 10 seasons later, in the episode Bubble Bass's Tab, I think it's a season 12 episode, this board game, Eels and Escalators, is referenced, with it appearing on SpongeBob's internal shelf of games.
Oh, the 3 deadly challenges! I got this game! Where is it? Game of Strife, Shoots and Bladders. Oh, here it is!
As you guys know, I'm a major fan of the Steven Hillenburg era of SpongeBob, so I loved this little nod. The season 10 episode, SpongeBob's Place, has a good plot, but I think the biggest thing this episode is known for is all of the wild Easter eggs. Now, I'm not going to cover this scene, which has like 8+ Easter eggs all in one shot, like holy cow, as we've covered it quite a few times already, but I did find another one, and it's spicy.
Hey! I see the problem! SpongeBob's not in the kitchen!
Remember the Nasty Patty that SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs prepared in the season 3 episode of the same name? Yeah, well, it appears again for the first time in a long time during this scene. There are some slight differences, but this was definitely a throwback to season 3, and I absolutely adore it.
Oops, I dropped it in the toilet!
Well, fish it out, and I'll dry it with me gym socks!
Squidward has referenced his groovy moves a few times, but the most notable reference, in my opinion, was in the episode Pat Heart Squid, as when Squidward tries dancing to attract people, at one point, his moves are precisely what he does in Culture Shock. And guess what? In response, the audience throws tomatoes at him, just like they did in that episode. Poor Squidward. Another classic SpongeBob episode that I loved as a kid was season 2's Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm. This episode was pretty darn epic, with SpongeBob and Sandy teaming up and going on an adventure to find the Alaskan bullworm that has been terrorizing Bikini Bottom. Now in the end, they succeed and manage to lunge the thing off of a cliff, and for a while, it seemed like this would be the last we'd see of the Alaskan bullworm. That is, until the episode My Leg, as during the montage where SpongeBob is trying to purposefully damage Fred's leg, Fred sprinkles salt over his leg, then SpongeBob rings a bell, and the Alaskan bullworm slithers over to Fred. Pretty cool, huh? The episode, Appointment TV, has been covered many times on this channel, and that is due to it being full of Easter eggs. Like seriously, there is a good 5 to 10 Easter eggs in this episode, but today we're just going to focus on one. Back in the season 3 episode, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, and Mermaid Man dress up as the IJSLA, and Sandy dresses up as Miss Appear and wears this costume. Well, she wears the exact same costume 8 seasons later in Appointment TV, thus making for an awesome callback or Easter egg.
He may be half a mermaid, and he may be half a man, but to us he's more than a hero. He's our mermaid man.
Back in the classic episode, Chocolate with Nuts, SpongeBob and Patrick struggle with their newly founded door-to-door chocolate bar business. That is, until they come across this Barnacle Chips billboard, which inspires them to be a little more business savvy. Well, it actually inspires them to start lying to people, but yeah, well, as crazy as it sounds, this billboard has popped up quite a few times over the years as an Easter egg, with its most recent appearance being in the episode Teacher's Pests. Don't get me wrong, this is totally a really cool Easter egg, but I do find it funny that it's just a simple billboard. Nonetheless, I love classic references like these, so I hope to see it again in the future.
Eat barnacle chips, they're delicious.
They are most certainly not delicious.
Not the way I use them.
One of my favorite classic or iconic SpongeBob episodes is Season 3's Krusty Krab training video, an episode that parodies fast food training videos from the 90s and does a very good job at doing so. Now, as a kid, I absolutely loved this episode, so I was really happy when it got referenced in the episode Appointment TV. In this episode, a rare episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy is going to air on TV, and SpongeBob wants to record it. So at one point of the episode, we see him set up his VHS to record, and he looks at his tape collection to tape over a tape and record the show. And it seems that one of these tapes is the Krusty Krab training video, thus making for a really heartwarming and cool Easter egg.
Sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
Sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
Sounds like a...
Hoopla! Hoopla!
In the episode Nasty Patty, another classic SpongeBob episode, this episode is a banger. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs are confronted by a health inspector who wants to try everything on the menu to see if everything is up to the health code. This guy's name is Health Inspector Yellowtail Andy, and to be honest, we haven't seen him much since this episode. He has appeared a few other times, but he's usually a different color, but recently in the episode A Place for Pets in Season 13, he made a big return, and he looks how he used to look, the way he looks in Nasty Patty. This was a really cool reference, and it's awesome to see such an iconic character return to the show, even though it was a fairly minor cameo. But anyways, here's a clip of both appearances with audio.
I'm going to need you to bring me one of everything on the menu.
Fresh sludge pudding.
More diet red tie.
Some fried
Please, gentlemen! Leave me to finish my work in peace.
Hold it right there, Krabs.
Oh no! The health inspector!
Oh yes, the health inspector.
In the episode Wet Painters, SpongeBob and Patrick are tasked by Mr. Krabs to clean the inside, or well, paint the inside of Mr. Krabs' house, at the cost of their behinds if anything other than the wall gets painted on. Well, spoiler alert, something other than the wall does get painted on, and that's Mr. Krabs' iconic first ever dollar. Now in the end, everything works out when we find out that the paint can just be removed with a little bit of saliva. Plot twist. But after this episode, Mr. Krabs' first dollar has kind of gone missing. We haven't really seen it since. That is, until the episode Bottle Burglars. As in this episode, the dollar is one of the objects that SpongeBob cleans on cleaning day. He actually ruins it. He like scrubs it so hard that it turns into a quarter and then a penny before it completely disappears. But don't worry, SpongeBob just replaces it with a random $1 bill from his pocket, and Mr. Krabs never even notices. But talk about a cool Easter egg.
This paint actually comes off with saliva.
You told us the paint was permanent, so me and Patrick would be more careful and not get paint on anything.
Nah, I just like to mess with you.
Aw, Mr. Krabs' first dollar. How did it want?
Don't forget to clean the safe, boys.
The character, Flats the Flounder, made multiple appearances in early seasons of SpongeBob. For example, Sandy's Rocket, Texas, but most notably The Bully, where he plays a major role, where he pretty much wants to kick SpongeBob's butt throughout the entire episode just for sitting beside him and saying, hey, poor SpongeBob. Now, since The Bully, he hasn't had very many appearances. He has appeared a few times, but it has been fairly limited. That was until the episode don't feed the clowns, as he's actually a customer of the bakery who gets knocked out by getting hit with a pie. Talk about a cool reference. It's nice to see Flats the Flounder back in action again, especially in a more recent episode.
SpongeBob! I can't believe you beat up a new student. I'm going to kick your butt!
In the episode, Captain Pipsqueak, Plankton comes up with the ultimate plan to join the League of Evil so that he can take over the world and, of course, steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. Well, in order to do this, Plankton has to do an addition, and during this scene, we see numerous villains from previous episodes show up for an addition as well. And boy, oh boy, does it make for an epic scene full of references. First up is Dennis from the first SpongeBob movie. Then there's this guy, a thug who steals the paddy wagon, also from the first movie, Dr. Negative, Squidward's villain counterpart from the episode Mermaid Pants, really good episode by the way. There's also Madame Hagfish, the Earworm, Robot Mantis, Nosferatu, Gordon the Viking, Dorsal Dan, and my favorites, the Strangler from the episode Tattletale Strangler, and Doodle Bob from the episode Franken Doodle. That is like 12 to 13 references in one scene. Crazy.
Dude, sign in and wait your turn.
Get out of the car, fellas!
Take all your money and put it in the bag!
No, Mr. Bob, I expect you to fry.
When the full moon rises.
I am the Strangler. I'm the Strangler.
What is this?
To be or line?
Our next Easter egg can be found in the season 13 episode Upturned Girls, an episode we've admittedly talked about a lot recently, but only because the episode is full of spicy Easter eggs. Now, the Easter egg in question has to do with this obscure SpongeBob villain, the Atomic Flounder. This supervillain was formerly an enemy of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and made his first appearance in the season 1 episode, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2, as an old retired version of himself that gets attacked by SpongeBob. Now, since season 1, the character has barely been seen, let alone mentioned. That is, until the episode Upturned Girls, as when Pearl and Narlene first arrive at Upturns, the exact same old retired version of the Atomic Flounder makes his first appearance in 20 plus years, making for a really cool little reference.
If I weren't retired, I'd... Do that!
Okay, so I know we already talked about this episode today, but let's head back over to Captain Pipsqueak for a second. Now, when we first mentioned this episode, I went over all of its cool references to past episodes, but I did leave one out, and this is due to it not being from a SpongeBob episode, but from a SpongeBob video game, and that's this blue little dude known as Prawn. Prawn made his first appearance in the SpongeBob video game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. It's really cool to see Prawn make his way over to the actual TV show. I wonder though, does this mean that SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom is now canon? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm curious.
Did someone call? Oh, I thought maybe I was looking at superheroes. But now I see it's just a couple of pieces of gnarled driftwood.
What did Prawn do?
The worst thing you can imagine. He put all of Mermaid Man's white clothes in the washer with a red sock.
What is that yellow thing? Some kind of mold?
I'm not mold, I'm a sponge. There's a cellular difference.
And last but certainly not least is our final Easter egg, which can be found in the episode Potato Puff. And it happens fast. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie from 2004, we were introduced to Princess Mindy, the daughter of the almighty King Neptune, who does her very best to help SpongeBob and Patrick throughout the movie. Now, despite being such a well-known character, we haven't really seen Mindy for quite some time, but she did recently make a reappearance in the form of an Easter egg in the season 13 episode Potato Puff. Like I said, it happens fast, but look, Mindy can be seen as a painting on the wall of a nursery, thus making for an awesome little Easter egg. In the episode Making Waves, Mr. Krabs desperately needs a vacation away from the Chum Bucket's madness, which makes sense. I mean, he has to deal with Plankton doing all sorts of ridiculous stuff all year long, so he sets off on a luxury sea cruise, only to discover that Plankton has also booked booked the exact same trip. And worst of all, they're actually forced to share a cabin due to there being a mix-up on the cruise. As Mr. Krabs explores trying to find his room, the episode greets fans with a gallery of background Easter eggs, and they're all really cool. Like, for instance, a wanted poster on the bottom floor right here features a very rare character, none other than Iron Eye, one of Mr. Krabs' old Navy buddies from the season 4 episode Shell of a Man. Iron Eye hasn't been seen since that 2005 episode, where he was a part of Mr. Krabs' Tough Guy reunion. In that story, SpongeBob, disguised inside Krabs' molted shell, met Iron Eye at a Navy reunion, where Iron Eye did this to Mr. Krabs, or well, I guess he technically did it to SpongeBob.
Fire the torpedoes!
Later in the episode, Iron Eye also revealed that his intimidating metal eye was actually made of formica, while he and the other macho sailors confessed their own insecurities. Well, seeing Iron Eye's face on a cruise ship poster and making waves is a deep-cut reference, especially for nerds like me, who watched the show growing up, as it playfully implies Iron Eye might be up to no good, hence the wanted part. It'd be cool to see what the dude's been up to after nearly 2 decades off screen, but let's head over to another Easter egg. Real quick though, guys, I just want to say I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob sleep channels on YouTube, so please subscribe. I'm like a real person. This is my real voice. You can actually probably hear that I'm kind of sick right now. I just played a show. Here's a picture from my concert. That's me right there. So my voice is a little shaky, but please subscribe. I'm more showing that so you guys know I'm a real person. I'm not one of those crappy AI cartoon channels. So yeah. And if you're wondering why I sound so sick, that's why I got sick after the show. But anyways, back to the Easter eggs. Entering the cabin hallway, Mr. Krabs fails to notice a pair of creepy grinning toddlers holding hands in the corridor. And if they look familiar, that's because they are. Longtime viewers will recognize this spooky duo as a nod to the toddler from the episode Escape from Beneath Gloveworld. In that season 12 episode, SpongeBob and Patrick encountered a little boy, notably the youngest inmate in Gloveworld's underground jail, who kept wandering off and leading them on a chaotic chase throughout the crazy theme park. It seems the Making Waves team brought back that character model not once, but twice, as they appear here as eerie twin children, standing ominously in the hall. This moment is more than just a SpongeBob reference, it's also a horror movie homage. The image of the 2 kids holding hands, and them being twins, is a direct spoof of the ghostly Grady twins from the 1980 film The Shining. In fact, the show originally storyboarded an even stranger sight in this scene, a fish in a bear suit trying another fish's shoes. This very random and bizarre clip is actually another reference to the same film and a very bizarre moment from The Shining. However, in the end, the episode went for the twin scene instead, cutting what I just played you entirely from the episode. But there's actually more, as to drive the parody home, the cabin Mr. Krabs ends up in is room 237, another reference to The Shining, more specifically the infamous haunted room 237 from the Overlook Hotel, a location from The Shining. It's a clever multi-layered Easter egg, as within SpongeBob's universe it brings back minor characters, like the Gloveworld toddler, but it also plays homage to a classic horror film movie. So whoever wrote this episode, or whoever put this in here, is definitely a big horror movie fan. But let's keep it going, as there's more Easter eggs in this one episode. Once Mr. Krabs and Plankton realize that they must share a cabin, both of their worst nightmares, they spend the cruise trying to one-up each other in various shipboard activities. This montage is packed with quick cameos. For example, at one point, the rivals hit the pool, and as Mr. Krabs wipes out at the end of a wild water slide ride, dragging Plankton along with him, let's take a closer look at the poolside crowd. As if we zoom in right here, we'll notice Squilliam Fancy Son, Squidward's wealthy, rich arch rival, lounging luxuriously by the pool, which is very fitting. You all probably know who this is, but for the few of you who don't, Squilliam hasn't appeared physically in the main series for years, with his last major appearance being all the way back in season 7. So seeing his distinctive unibrow in the background of this shot is a treat. For those who don't remember him though, let me jog your memory. Here's a clip of him from his most infamous episode, Band Geeks.
Squilliam Fancy Son from band class?
I hear you're playing the cash register now.
Yeah, that guy. And honestly, he needs to appear again. I think he does actually in season 16. But for now, let's stay on track of this episode making waves because I've got even more Easter eggs. As later, when Mr. Krabs and Plankton attend the ship's dance club party, yet another veteran character makes a subtle comeback. In the throbbing neon atmosphere, we can see a DJ Fish spinning records in the background. This guy right here, I'm zooming in, and older fans will actually recognize him as the DJ from the Thug Tug scene in the original 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
DJ, time for the test.
This tall sunglasses wearing DJ was ordered by the Thug Tug's owner, Victor, to crank up the Goofy Goober song in an attempt to expose any bubble blowing babies in the bar. More specifically, SpongeBob and Patrick. Now, for the most part, the DJ's only appearance had been in this movie, but that was only until now. As in Making Waves, he's finally been incorporated into the series, with him being seen in this scene right here. It's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg, as he's only seen briefly when Mr. Krabs and Plankton hit the dance floor, but it's a satisfying one, as it turns out the Thug Tug DJ has found a new job. He's got a new gig. Now here's the thing with this episode. Not every planned reference made it to air. For example, Making Waves had a particularly dark visual gag that got cut during production. In an earlier storyboard, Krabs and Plankton's rivalry escalated to them riding on firework rockets, which ultimately crashed into a family on deck. I mean, considering that they could have literally just killed that family, this joke was deemed too morbid by Nickelodeon and was removed from the final episode. It's very understandable, but let's head over to another episode, guys. I've got more Easter eggs in another episode. And a reminder, please subscribe. I'm really trying to hit 10K, guys. I hate YouTubers that constantly remind you to subscribe, but again, I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob channels here. Like, these videos take a long time. We put a lot of love into them, so please subscribe. But let's keep it moving. The episode, Pablum Plankton, puts a spotlight on our favorite one-celled villain and peppers the story with references that you guys are going to love, spanning SpongeBob's history and beyond. Premise is already tongue-in-cheek. Plankton accidentally wins a cutest baby contest and becomes the mascot for a popular baby food brand. The opening scene finds Plankton in his lab, concocting explosive chemicals. When he overhears SpongeBob and Karen, I don't know why SpongeBob is at Plankton's house, by the way, but he overhears his wife and SpongeBob giggling over a certain something. And this is where the first Easter egg comes in. To Plankton's horror, they're paging through his baby photos.
I was never adorable. These photos have gotta go.
You were such a cute baby.
Now, here's the thing. This image and all of these different images of baby Plankton that Karen shares are drawn in the exact same way that baby Plankton was drawn back in the season 5 episode Friend or Foe, making for some really cool continuity here, especially considering SpongeBob is a show that is very lazy with continuity sometimes. In other scenarios, they probably would have just done an entirely new design, but if you look at side-by-sides right here, you'll see that it's like almost identical, meaning the animators deliberately pulled from Friend or Foe's character model sheets. It's possible the artists reused it as a handy asset, but I don't know, it also kind of feels like an intentional Easter egg to me. Pretty cool, but let's keep it rolling and continue this episode. Plankton, of course, is mortified by the baby photo display, but the humiliation isn't over. SpongeBob, endeared by Plankton's cuteness, enters one of those baby pictures into the Baleen baby food contest. Shockingly, Plankton wins the contest. Actually, it isn't very shocking, I'm being rude. Look at these baby photos. He's a cute baby, but he wins the contest without even knowing it. And suddenly, he's thrust into fame, with him becoming the new face of the baby food brand.
Blipping butt cracks!
Buy some Bailey's baby!
Now eventually, when SpongeBob and Plankton arrive at the contest award ceremony, we get a look at the event's host, and it's a familiar character that's gone through a bit of a character redesign. This right here is the announcer fish. Longtime viewers should be able to recognize this character, but you might not be able to due to the character redesign. But to jog your memory, he's the same unnamed announcer who's popped up whenever Bikini Bottom holds a competition or an event. From the Goo Lagoon surfing contest in ripped pants,
there goes SpongeBob, ripping his pants again,
to the snail race in The Great Snail Race.
Seriously, I'm just a fan. I was on my way to my seat, the door was open.
Hey, what are you doing?
No.
Sorry about that, folks.
However, observant fans also noticed this character design had been updated. In the earlier seasons, as you just saw, the announcer fish was a short, lilac-colored fish with black hair, and he'd wear this outfit as you can see here. But in Pablum Plankton, he appears taller and is a completely different color. He's like light green now, sporting a gray suit and a purple tie. The announcer fish declares Plankton the winner of the cutest baby contest and hands over an enormous prize check, $1 jillion. But yeah, this was a fun fact I kind of wanted to point out here, that they completely changed the fish's design. Here's a side-by-side, and I don't know why they did it, but they did it. Keeping it going though, becoming a baby food mascot is a dream come true for Mr. Krabs. However, it's a nightmare for Plankton. This leads to a brilliant series of references to Plankton's long-standing fear of whales. Now you're probably asking, Cartoon Corey, how is this an Easter egg? This is just a random thing that Plankton's scared of whales. It isn't actually very random. This is actually like a running character trait of Plankton. Fans will recall that Plankton is terrified of Pearl, Mr. Krabs' whale daughter, and whales in general, a character trait that we first seen in One Course Meal from season 7, where Mr. Krabs realizes that Plankton is for some reason scared of Pearl and takes advantage of this, dressing as a whale and scaring Plankton any chance that he gets.
Call off your daughter, Krabs! Call her off! Stay back, whale! I'm privy to what you do to organisms like me. I've seen those documentaries!
This also happened in the episode Plankton's Intern. In this one, Pearl actually interned at the Chum Bucket, and Plankton spent the whole time just tweaking out, convinced that she wanted to eat him. And this in itself, by the way, is an Easter egg, as in like real life, whales eat Plankton. That's why Plankton's so terrified of her, is like, that's just how it goes in real life. If you're a plankton, whales are going to eat you. So this is a fun little like real life gag right here. Not a real life gag, but you know what I mean. This is a scientific joke right here. But yeah, in Pablum Plankton, this entire thing is referenced. For example, once Plankton realizes his face is on a baby food jar for whale consumption, he's horrified in this scene right here.
Baleen baby food is made of 100%
Gold? What the heck is gold? Plankton!
One other thing I noticed during this episode, by the way, is that a very rare character makes another reappearance. And it takes place when Plankton's at the grocery store. As if we look over here and we zoom in, we can see that Squilliam Fancy Son makes another cameo. Lately, a lot of his appearances have been more background ones, and they're very blink and you'll miss it, where it's not like he has any dialogue, he's just literally chilling right there in the background. But yeah, it's cool to see him again, and like I said, I want him to have like a full-on episode soon. But as this episode continues, eventually, Plankton's anxiety drives him to sabotage. In a very dramatic and darkly funny turn, he steals all of the different baby baleen mascots and toys and drags them out to the desert to bury them, hoping to free himself from the contract. And it's here that this episode drops one of its wild Easter eggs or references, and it's especially weird because it's a joke that only an adult viewer would catch. As SpongeBob and Plankton dig a grave for all of the different toys, you can see in the background a striped RV with 2 lawn chairs set up beside it, an unmistakable recreation of the makeshift desert lab from the TV drama Breaking Bad. The RV's coloring and placement, plus the folding chairs, make this reference crystal clear. It's an edgy nod to a very non-kid-friendly TV show, but also just saying Breaking Bad is one of the best shows I've ever watched, so I guess it's pretty cool to see it. Moving from Bikini Bottom to the bonkers world of the Patrick Star Show, the episode Patathon serves up Easter eggs in rapid fire. Here's the setup. Patrick is hosting a live telethon from his living room, aiming to raise money for snails who can't dance. Now, this variety-style show and this episode is framed as Patrick's wacky family putting on stunts and answering phones for charity. But despite being a spin-off, Patathon does not shy away from referencing the main SpongeBob series. In fact, it revels in it, weaving classic SpongeBob elements into Patrick's surreal TV marathon. As the telethon kicks off, Patrick's sister Squidina introduces a roster of neighborhood volunteers, manning the phone bank. Eagle-eye viewers will spot Squidward unhappily taking calls, but the real treats come during the outrageous performances. One standout segment is a cutaway to a black and white old movie-style scene featuring Plankton and Patrick in a Frankenstein parody. In this segment, Plankton's a mad scientist, known as Dr. Frankenstein, and Patrick plays his hunchbacked assistant, Patgore, a play on the actual character from Frankenstein, Igor. They have SpongeBob laid out on an operating table, playing the role of the yet-to-be animated monster. Now, for those who haven't caught it yet, this whole sketch is a loving spoof of Universal's Frankenstein, complete with thunderclap and lightning as Plankton shouts.
Ring! Ring! Give my phone life!
But it also sneaks in a SpongeBob-specific Easter egg. To jolt SpongeBob's Frankenstein body to life, Plankton uses a pair of whirly brains as the makeshift electrodes. We see two whirling pink brains with propellers attached to SpongeBob's head, spinning furiously as the electricity flows. And this is really cool, as these devices are a direct callback to the season 10 episode Whirly Brains. These toys right here.
Attach the propeller and watch your brain soar hundreds of feet into the air as you control the action.
These were one of the more bizarre gags in the series for sure, but it's cool to see Patathon resurrected. As I always say though, keeping it going, the telethon format of this episode allows for a lot of other random cameos. For example, another blink and you'll miss it gag is during one of Grand Pat Star's Daredevil stunt segments, as throughout the ride you can see blindfolded boxers slugging it out as part of like the obstacle course. And you may recognize one of them, as one of them is Reg, the tough tattooed doorman from the iconic episode No Weenies Allowed.
Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Yes, so?
Without any milk.
In that memorable season 3 episode, Reg was the bouncer of the Salty Spittoon and famously denied SpongeBob entry for being too weak. Seeing Reg appear years later in Patathon, still buff and now randomly boxing in Patrick's backyard, is a hilarious deep cut. He doesn't have any lines and it's purely a visual cameo, but for fans, the image of Reg is unmistakable. Even SpongeBob himself makes an appearance in this episode, despite it being Patrick's show, and he comes dressed for the occasion. When it's SpongeBob's turn to perform a brief dance number to encourage donations, he shows up wearing a pink tutu-like outfit called a mantu, a male version of a tutu. And longtime viewers might recall SpongeBob excitedly buying this exact same garment years in the past in the episode Toy Store of Doom.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, SpongeBob. What's with the tutu?
It's not a tutu, it's a mantu. You can tell because it has
extra support.
It was a quick joke back then, but apparently SpongeBob held on to it, because here he is twirling in the same costume on Patrick's stage. Next up is the episode Squidward's Sick Days from season 13. And in this one, Squidward ends up faking being sick just so he doesn't have to go to work, which is very Squidward. He's a very lazy guy sometimes. Just as you can imagine, this doesn't go as planned, and Mr. Krabs sends a certain somebody to look after Squidward.
Oh, you are in no condition to be alone. That's why I brought you some help. Take one of these and call me in the morning.
The doctor is in.
Now there's actually quite a few Easter eggs in this episode, but for them to make sense, I gotta give you guys some context. So at the start of this episode, it's Squidward at work, and as you can see, he isn't having a very good time. Everyone's yelling at him, but it turns out that this is a nightmare. However, during the nightmare, he actually makes a certain face that is a reference to an older episode. For example, take a look at this clip right here. This face right here that Squidward makes when he screams is almost identical to this face that he made in the episode Graveyard Shift.
The sash ringing! The flash singing! The bat
hash pinging, the hash slinging slasher.
Here's a side-by-side, and let me know in the comments. I think that this was a pretty clear reference, or maybe it was just a happy accident. But either way, it's really cool. And if we fast forward a little bit, we'll get to this scene in the episode where Squidward is fantasizing about the perfect day, which includes him diving into a beautiful waterfront, jumping off of a waterfall, and along the way, we see his favorite snack. These right here are bonbons, and this is another reference. This bonbon snack first appeared in the episode Good Neighbors during this scene right here, and they're actually one of Squidward's favorite snacks. They're more of like a luxury treat, it seems.
This is gonna be a heavenly day. Oh, I almost forgot. Bonbons. Hello there, heaven's little wonder.
So yeah, it's cool to see them in Squidward's daydream. He really likes bonbons. I wanna try a bonbon right now. But before I can do that, I gotta finish this video, so let's do some more Easter eggs from this episode. Well, before an Easter egg, here's a very weird fun fact I found out while researching this video, and that's that in the original storyboards for this episode, SpongeBob was going to paint a painting and give it to Squidward, and it was going to feature SpongeBob and Squidward standing behind a heart of love. Now this was drawn by storyboard revisionist Dylan Houston King, and when he posted it on Instagram, he included a certain tag, that being SquidBob, which is actually a reference to the character shipping of SpongeBob and Squidward, which pretty much features SpongeBob and Squidward in a romantic relationship. So I'm just pointing out that one of these storyboard artists literally referenced this, not in the show, but on their personal Instagram. So I thought I'd point that out. It's kind of funny. But back to the Easter eggs, as throughout this episode, SpongeBob helps, quote unquote helps. He doesn't really do a good job, but he tries to help Squidward feel better. And by the end of the episode, when he returns to work, Squidward goes through a bit of a transformation, as look.
I used to be sick of everything, but I'm not sick anymore. I've been plagued by toxins and stress built up over the years at this job, but SpongeBob washed those away.
As you can see, Handsome Squidward makes a reappearance in this episode. Handsome Squidward first appeared back in the episode The Two Faces of Squidward, where his face got all messed up and then he became beautiful. He actually looks very handsome. And it seems that the animators or writers intentionally referenced this at the ending of this episode. And there's actually a nice touch here, as this is like a double entendre, all right? This is like a double Easter egg. As if you look, Handsome Squidward has long blonde hair. And this itself is a callback to another episode of the original Fry Cook, where Squidward had long hair in the past until he lost it on the day that Jim quit working at the Krusty Krab. So yeah, 2 references in one, and that's really, really cool. One last fact I'm gonna mention before we wrap up this episode is that there's some reused audio here, as Patrick's scream when he falls from the window is actually reused from the episode Farmer Bob. Here's a side-by-side, here's the scream from Squidward's Sick Days.
Now to get rid of the other monkey on my back.
And here's the scream from Farmer Bob. And as you can see, they reused the same scream. It's not a big deal, but yeah, let's keep it moving. More Easter eggs. In the episode Near Mint Plankton, Plankton concocts a new scheme by shrinking down and disguising himself as a collectible figurine. And why? You guys know why. He wants to snag one of those delicious Krabby Patties without Mr. Krabs noticing. Very clever, Plankton. Instead though, he ends up in the clutches of Bubble Bass, who is an avid collector of limited edition superhero memorabilia. This guy is obsessed. And we're gonna get into the Easter eggs, but I gotta say, I do like how they changed Bubble Bass's character over the years. Originally, he was just this rude dude who liked pickles, but they've kind of turned him into the nerdy character who's obsessed with nerd stuff. Anyways though, this episode's premise naturally sets the stage for a literal treasure trove of different SpongeBob nostalgia and Easter eggs. For example, when Mr. Krabs cashes in on the collector craze by selling special edition Krabby Patties, the varieties on offer are a delightful deep cut from the season 9 episode Munity on the Krusty. In that earlier episode, it's actually really old now, from like 2015 I think, but in this episode, SpongeBob introduced novelty patties like the Hattie Patty, a Krabby Patty that you wear as a hat. There's also the Chatty Patty, a talking patty for teens, and the Bratty Patty, a kitty patty with a backwards baseball cap.
And he's the man who brought you the double Krabby Patty, and the Krabby Patty with cheese, and the Brownie Patty for kids.
This patty's stealing my style. I'm the only one who's allowed to wear a backwards baseball cap, guys. Come on. Surely enough, though, Near Mint Plankton shows Bubble Bass proudly adding a new pickle patty to his collection, right alongside his chatty, hatty, and bratty patties. The very same whimsical burgers first seen during Munity on the Krusty. This is a clever callback that rewards eagle-eyed fans. And even Bubble Bass's line, "I'll place it next to my chatty, fatty, and bratty patties," directly references those legendary novelties. It's not like they just showed them, he literally refers to them by name, so we know this is an Easter egg. But let's keep it moving, as Bubble Bass's basement itself is a shrine to SpongeBob lore. Viewers can spot a statue of SpongeBob dressed as a certain superhero. Take a look at this clip from the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, more specifically the superhero that SpongeBob turns into. This guy right here is the Quickster, and we haven't really seen him since Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. We've seen some of the other superheroes in this episode. For example, in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, Sandy dresses up as Miss Appear, another superhero that can turn invisible. But we've actually seen Miss Appear a couple of times since then. For example, in the episode Delivery of Doom, or in the episode Appointment TV, as you can see here. But the Quickster, we haven't seen this character for a long time, but that all changed in Near Mint Plankton, as look, amongst Bubble Bass's collectibles, there's this statue of SpongeBob dressed up as the Quickster. This blink and you'll miss it background gag firmly anchors the episode in SpongeBob's wider universe. And who knows, maybe we'll see the Quickster again in the future. I would love to see another episode where they all dress up as superheroes, but I've got more, and the Easter eggs are gonna get even crazier as we go. That way, if you guys are still awake, you haven't fallen asleep yet, at least I can keep you guys entertained. But you should be asleep already, bro. What are you doing? You got work or school tomorrow. Go to sleep. I love you. I'm trying to support you here. But anyways, here's the next episode. The episode Heart of Garbage, another one from season 16, plunges Bikini Bottom into dystopian chaos when Squidward's home becomes ground zero for an ever-growing mountain of trash. Ew. Like, look at this. I can smell it from here. It reminds me of SpongeBob's breath back in the episode Something Smells. It also reminds me of something else, but we'll get to that in a moment. In a storyline that is part parody, part homage, Squidward accidentally angers the garbage men and ends up literally trapped in garbage for 6 months.
The trash goes in the truck, not on my lawn. Just put the garbage where it's supposed to go.
Dude, imagine being trapped in garbage for that long. Oh my God. Just imagine how bad Squidward smells right now. But more importantly, guys, this is actually a reference to something. This riffs on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness and its famous film adaptation, Apocalypse Now. The entire episode functions as a playful underwater echo of that classic tale. And I mean, just look at the plot. SpongeBob and Patrick must venture through a garbage jungle to find Squidward, much like Marlowe taking a journey upriver to find Kurtz.
You made it this far, but you still must pass the booby traps up ahead.
Please!
This homage is acknowledged right in the title as well. I mean, it's called Heart of Garbage, which is a direct spoof of Heart of Darkness. Also, fun fact, longtime viewers will recall that this isn't the first time that Squidward's house has been overtaken by trash. Back in season 7's Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful, SpongeBob once helped Squidward avoid littering fines by moving all of his litter to his house, thus turning his house into a house of garbage, complete with trash furniture and a trash bed. I don't think that bed would be very comfy, guys. Like right now, you're probably in bed watching this video. Imagine if you were in that garbage bed, you would not be getting any sleep. But anyways, Heart of Garbage hilariously encapsulates that concept. But instead of a one-off slight gag, the entire interior of Squidward's real house becomes a sprawling garbage labyrinth that SpongeBob and Patrick have to navigate.